I want to open where I am closed. Anyone else get Harry Potter flashbacks? Hi guys. So, because I just want to get crucified on the internet, I'm going to come out and say it. I'm not the biggest fan of Rupi Kaur's poetry. Yeah, let's talk about it. So recently she published her most recent. So recently her most. I can't talk. So Homebody came out, which is her most recent poetry book. I read it just because it was there, you know, I just had to. At this point, I'm not expecting anything from her poetry because I know it's just not my cup of tea. It's difficult going into something with an open mind because if you obviously don't really like this person's this person's work, but I didn't really care at this point. Nothing could, meh, whatever. I was just like, let's just read and see, you know. And the only thing I was kind of expecting, or maybe like wanting, was to read something different from her, because this is her third poetry book, I believe. So I was like, maybe she's changed her style up a bit. Maybe she's going to give us something new. Yeah, let's talk about like my relationship with Rupi's poetry. So Milk and Honey came out, you know, and it was like the best thing since sliced bread. Everyone was talking about it, everyone was reviewing it, everyone was putting it on their wish list and stuff, and I think I even had it on my wish list at a certain point, and I almost bought it. Can you imagine? I almost paid money for it, but I didn't. But I was really curious, very interested. Everyone was raving about this poetry book. And randomly I was at someone's house one day. And, well, not randomly that I was at their house. That kind of makes me sound like I broke in or something. I was at this person's house and they randomly had this book. And I was like, oh, can I just like look into this? Can I just read some of it? And this person was like, yeah, it's fine. And so I was so excited. I sat down to like flip through it and read some of the poetry. And I literally was so disappointed. It was literally one of the weirdest experiences of my life. I was going into this thinking this is going to be the best thing ever. And it wasn't. When is it going to get good? No, I'm not trying to be mean, it just comes natural. It just comes natural to me. Yeah, Milk and Honey was a big disappointment. It was a big yikes for me. I was literally like pages and pages upon just like these random Twitter thoughts that you put on the internet, but you're not actually like publishing them and telling people that they're poetry, you know. And it was just, I think it's also very much a personal preference thing, obviously. Poetry, just like literature and like anything artistic, is very personal and whatever you're into. But I just couldn't connect with anything, and it was, I think that's also a lot of her themes revolve around feminist statements. Her work is like so vague, it can relate to most of the population on Earth, and between like way too personal. So that was my introduction to her work through Milk and Honey. Then the second poetry book, I didn't bother with, you know, because I was already like, yikes, this isn't for me. And then with this one, I had the opportunity to read it, so I was like, you know, maybe let's just try, whatever happens, happens, you know. And I have to be honest, I actually think this one is somewhat more interesting than Milk and Honey. Milk and Honey was very much like very short Twitter statements, you know, a Tumblr thought you put into the world. It's like, and in this one, it's at least the poems were, or like the writing was a bit longer. It was even more personal, with like some vague stuff thrown in there. Once again, obviously the very personal stuff, it's not easy to read. It's difficult, and it is like saying something, at least, you know. It is like there is something going on this time, at least. Some effort made to really get into the nitty-grittiness of it all, which isn't my favorite thing. It's my favorite kind of poetry or stuff to read, when it's like too... No, but I resonated a little bit more with this book. I wouldn't say I like it or anything, literally I don't, but it was better than Milk and Honey for sure. I just feel like also with her, this is her third poetry book, and I was just expecting something really different, but it's still kind of about the same things. Like, she's still writing about this one theme that, and I get, yeah, I mean, she doesn't have to, she can write whatever she wants, obviously, but yeah, maybe I was expecting something else this time around. Yeah, like, this is a part of one of the poems in Homebody. I walked off stage once the show was over and prayed for the misery to stop eating me alive. I was sick and pretending not to be sick. Like, this entire passage is kind of a bit cliche. Like, I walked off stage once the show was over. Like, yeah, I mean, all the world's a stage and we're just players. You know, we've heard it a million times. I prayed for the misery to stop eating me alive. Like that phrase in particular, something to stop eating you alive. It's like we've heard it so much before, and I'm kind of it's kind of weird to be, for someone who is like this accomplished at this point. Like, you can't deny it, whether you like her work or not. She is one of probably the most accomplished poets of today. Like, she's probably made a lot of money off of selling her work. So it's just, I'm a bit confused how she gets away with these kind of cliche phrases. A different phrase was, coming home to an empty apartment was worse. Without work, I had nothing to look forward to. I'd sink into depression for months. Yeah, a diary entry, you know, like something we all experience, like a lot of us experience. Again, it's vague enough to apply to about anyone in the world today. There's nothing, that's also my thing with her poetry. It's all very literal. What you see is what you get. And especially if you have like an entire book of poetry and every poem is like that. It's literally just what you read is what you get. Like, I'd sink into the depression for months. I was depressed. There's no, like, she's not playing with language or words. She's not using some kind of metaphor or allegory. It's like, it's very much what you read is what you get. And that's why it also feels like Twitter statements or like your diary entry. I was depressed. I was sad. You know? Also, this random sentence, I want to open where I am closed. Did anyone else get Harry Potter flashbacks? No, just me? Okay. You lose everything when you don't love yourself and gain everything when you do. At this point, this just became a self-help book. Oh, this is so profound, you know? Is it though? So I'm also maybe thinking that's also why it resonates with young people, which I completely understand, and I think it's still fine that this is maybe their first introduction to poetry. And then she'd put something like this into it. I was trying to fit into a system that left me empty. Capitalism. Capitalism. Which, should we really get into the irony of like a best-selling author who probably made millions commenting on capitalism? Commenting on capitalism, you know, that's just... There's some irony in there that maybe we shouldn't get into, but maybe we should. I'm going to make a vague statement and then I'm going to put a word in there that I was actually talking about, you know, and it's like, oh god, didn't we outgrow this? Isn't this like such a 2012 thing to do? 2014? What is this? Just talking shit to a camera. But is anyone actually listening? YouTube. I mean, you can do that with anything. You know, she's like Googling, what's hip and trendy with the kids right now? What are the kids complaining about these days? Capitalism. You know, yeah. I'm throwing the whole concept of commercialized self-help out altogether. I'm tired of buying products and services that don't make me feel any better. Empty promises. Stop. At this point, it just became funny. What? At this point, it just became funny. It's just... No, don't do this! Don't do this! So yeah, anyway, that's my thoughts. Those are my thoughts about Homebody. Also, I was thinking about... I was looking stuff... randomly looking through my files on my computer. And I realized that I had actually written a Rupi-esque poem. I mean, I wrote a lot of Rupi-esque poetry as a teenager because... you know, vague and personal. Way too personal stuff, you know, that's kind of talking about something, but it's just like a sad diary entry. And I wanted to share one of these poems with you all. Don't judge. I was literally like 14 or something when I wrote this, or 15. So, yeah. It's called Not Good Enough. Not good enough, she said. Too lazy. I force the word deeper into my skin and it burns. Branches rise from my skull, uproot my mind, and I shovel to the edge. She gives up, I hear them. It was not a choice, not a jump, but a fall. She fell into a pit so deep that no one could see the dirt under her nails from the digging in her sleep. No hands would reach for help, because when she had to describe herself, she said, not good enough. Let's end with that, shall we? At least there was some imagery in there of like, you know, this was also like the cliche bullshit imagery of, oh, I'm trying to climb out of like a grave or something, you know, like I was trying, but I didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. And it was like way too personal and sad and stuff. Me being a sad emo teenager. Anyway, let's end on that note. Leave a comment if you liked my poem. But yeah. Okay, I'm going to go before I get actually crucified by the Rupi stance. So thank you so much if you made it to this point. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.